Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Business Transition Roadmap. I am so pleased and happy to be here with Diane Nolan of Argent Bridge Advisors. She has some amazing experience with transitions, both as an advisor in seeing people walk through this, and also experience of her own as the managing partner at Argent Bridge. So, Diane, welcome, and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Well, as you know, it's been 5 years of our working together. So I would say a lot has changed in the last 5 years. My life has been lots of transition, personal in the family with kids off to college, but largely with the business. It's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun, but I've learned a lot. Let me say that. I've learned a lot. And yeah, I think client transitions are far more interesting than my own. I think the idea that people are heading into retirement or a new phase in life felt like less work than a transition for me to the new firm. But I only wish I would have done it sooner now, which tells me it was a good decision and with a lot of forethought. I think there's a lot of work that goes into something that looks like a smooth transition. And I think there was a lot of work for us.
There was a lot of work. It's great when on the outside it looks smooth. And most of the time that's because you did a little bit of planning and thought through it and knew what you were going to do and how you were going to invite people in and all of those different things. So, yeah, and you did a great job doing that.
Thank you. I think the whole idea of transitions for me it's somewhat unnatural, but really valuable. And that is beginning with the end in mind, thinking through something. It is so valuable when you have the opportunity to work that way. Beginning with the end in mind, to me, it was so, it brought clarity to what we were trying to build and continues to bring clarity to what we're trying to build. But transitions, even learning transitions aren't just about leaving or ending something, but the idea of the transition bringing you to something better.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the firm and what you're trying to accomplish, because I know that transition, our book, it's a journey. And so being managing partner, you've got other partners in the firm, and some of the thinking around what you're trying to accomplish with that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the firm, we are 4 partners, 3 of which are financial advisors, and 1 is our investment manager. And so 4 partners, 2 additional advisors, and 5 people on our support team. And so we've grown. We started on day 1 4 years ago with, just 3 advisors leaving another firm. So starting from scratch and building the team from there, I would say when I think about your question of what's working, I would say for me, relationships are working. They're not all the same, but even identifying that the interactions are going to be different between partners and clients, of course, but the advisors within the team and the support staff, having all of that be the relationships being different. So the firm is growing. We are 11 people. We serve about 300 clients and manage just under $500 million in the firm. And again, growth has been steady. I would say, as I'm thinking about transitions, some of the things that I would continue to work on, what I think that we have work to do is really narrowing down what we're building. And you've asked that question a lot, and I think it's a great clarifier for us. What we're building, I have that in the back of my mind all the time now, and it's really starting to inform and some of the new decisions that we're making.
That's awesome. Yeah, and as you think about your future, I know that you are thinking about a strategy of how to bring in some of those partners and how to make your journey this time in your transition a little bit longer, right? That from beginning to end, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And with the ability to stay in the business, doing what you love, and also creating opportunity for some of your other partners to step in and learn, which, is all good to do that. So tell us a little bit about where you're headed.
Yeah. So I think that idea of, for our partner, having four partners that haven't made a lot of decisions earlier in our careers about direction, about what we're building, it's been a challenge. Not necessarily the collaborating, but it's been a challenge to say, we try so hard to be so many things to so many people. And maybe not just because there's four of us, but I think our nature, our personalities are, we want to please everybody. We'd love to help everybody. So some of this work that we're doing now is learning to say no, and even to be able to be really crystal clear about who we want to serve and how we're going to do that. That's something that's taken a few years. At the very beginning, we wanted to accept everyone, our existing clientele that we were able to work with, and clients that they then wanted to introduce to the new firm. And yes, we were saying yes to everything. And in the end, not every one of these relationships are ideal for the firm. And so we're really trying very hard to be more intentional. I think each partner has something unique to offer. I don't know that we got to stretch our partner muscles very much in the old organization. I think we are working really hard to support each other with being open to each person's strengths, being open to each person contributing something, even if we might want to do it differently. We acknowledge that there's more than one way to handle a situation. We've tried to really lean into everybody's strengths and rely on partners who are great with culture to manage culture, a partner that's great with the finances to manage the finances. We're not all trying to do a little bit of everything at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Diane, your firm was founded because you came out of another firm. Obviously, you've been doing this a long time and are very good at it. So what lessons did you bring forward into this firm that actually helped you to create those relationships and actually helped you to have this partnership that is truly very different than what you had in the last? What lessons did you bring forward? Yeah,
that's sometimes too. That's a great question. I would say lessons. I would think we're almost we've gone to extremes to do things differently, almost to our detriment. Because sometimes I know that we've discussed that it's okay to not agree, or it's okay to push for things that you think are really important towards what we're building. But we're so afraid of stepping on toes because we really had a more, not to be dramatic, but somewhat of a draconian environment that we were trying to steer ourselves away from and do everything exactly the opposite. Well, that's not practical because there are just some sound principles in any business that you should deploy. And we were reluctant to step on toes, to lead in some cases, because we felt like there was little opportunity to speak our minds. So the very first thing we did was read the book Radical Candor, because we knew we all had to learn to be because there is a high care factor for each other and certainly for building a really sound business, we had to learn to get candid with each other. We had to learn to speak up. So there were definitely, I think, lessons learned really came after the fact, maybe by what not to do, even more than, okay, we're going to take this with us. This worked. We all know how to work with clients and do our part when it comes to working on the business. It was different for us. We weren't necessarily all sure about how to be profitable, we would do things that on paper look like a great idea. And frankly, it was your questions about what's working and what's not working that really forces you to be a better decision maker, because we might employ something and think on paper, this is going to be great. This is going to, and like search engine optimization, we spent 2 years and a lot of money trying to get people to our website, but our clients come to us by way of referral from other clients. So why are we trying so hard to optimize our website traffic? It wasn't ideal. So that idea of what's working and what's not working has really, in some cases, stopped us in our tracks, but mostly helped us become better business owners, better partners to each other. And that idea of understanding it's okay to have differences and speak to those without hurting someone's feelings, that it's about the business.
Yep. And those business relationships, they take a little time to really solidify and really get together. Once you have it, you're in sync. So that's wonderful. Yeah. And so as you head forward, you've got kind of a vision in mind of what your future looks like. And what are some of the things that you're currently trying to do to set the firm up and also set you up for transition in the future? What's that vision look like?
Yeah, we have spent a lot of time this past year distilling all of these ideas into a vision, because that even the idea that and goals or objectives are not the vision. We've learned so much from you, Elizabeth, about what it means to build it for or create a vision of what you want the firm to be, and then work your way backwards again. So this idea of communicating our value creation, then distilling who it is we want to work with, and what are we going to do, and how are we going to treat the people that maybe aren't the best fit for the firm. All of these projects now become a part of getting us closer to the vision. It feels like we have work to do. It's not just a vision. When I originally heard about creating a vision, I thought, oh, that's just pie in the sky. We can all say we'd love to have billions of dollars that we manage and millions of dollars that we make and whatnot. But it's truly the closer we got to what we wanted the vision to be, the better I understood that you have to have it in order to do the work, to build the processes, procedures, who you're going to work with and why, our value creation, understanding that and communicating it better, all our messaging, all of our branding, it all ties to the vision.
Absolutely. And then the other thing that I think is interesting is that also ties to, it ties to how you want to spend your time in your life. And it also ties to the legacy that you want to leave, because at some point in time, the idea, since it's a journey, is you'll be on this road and all your partners will be going together with you. And then you'll start to slow down a little bit, maybe not do as much, so they learn to do more. And ultimately, there's a transfer of the tasks that are important, like managing finances, business development. You can go down the list, but all of those tasks are no longer primarily overseen by you, right? They're done and overseen by your other partners. Right. And so then as you move forward, sooner or later, I think of it kind of like a highway. You will go on the off ramp someday. And then you'll leave this legacy behind. So some of it's about living your life today and enjoying it. Some of it is, though, about this journey and how you're transitioning to your other partners. And then also at some point in time, whether it's 5 years or 10 years or 15, that you say, see you later. I left this legacy. All the clients are happy and taken care of. People still have their jobs. Partners are still taking home good money, and they might even have a transition plan started and in place by then. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Back to beginning with the end in mind. I mean, that's a vision on top of a vision for the firm and my own. And I absolutely embrace that.
Yeah. So if you had a magic wand and could work and do this for as long as you wanted to, how long do you think that you want to be in this firm? Just ballpark.
I used to think about the off-ramp and the timeline for the off-ramp. And I feel like somewhere along the way, I heard you say it comes in different forms. Like it's not just one day you're working and one day you're not. Instead, I could definitely see 5 years from now, it's fewer clients that I work with and more working with the advisors that are working with clients, potentially. 5 years from that might be the true off-ramp, maybe 10 years max. And sort of what I promised to the partners too, that I would be around, the firm would develop and everyone would feel really confident in their roles and the client relationships. So we spend a lot of time introducing the depth of the team and each of the team members so that clients have a confidence level that it's not just one person that they have the relationship with, it's the firm. And so I'm spending a lot of time on that. I'll spend more time on that, I think, in the next 5 years. And the client relationships that are really rewarding to me, that will be the last thing to go for me. I will work with those clients for as long as they'll have me and as long as they appreciate the relationship the way I do. And they're really valuable to the firm. So for as long as that's helpful to the firm as well. I think it looks a little different than, one day I'm just done. I just think I'll work with fewer and fewer of our clients that are both, I really value the relationships and they're valuable to the firm.
Right. And then, then also part of it is the transition of the job. And sometimes owners get these things, they blend them together as one, but there's the job transition, which, what I'm doing. There also is the equity transition. So, great shareholder agreements set up so that they're, what's going to happen. And you've got some amazing partners that you're nurturing and mentoring to grow and develop and potentially maybe buy you out someday. We don't know, but, something along those lines.
Absolutely. If all goes well, that's the way that we'd like to see that go. I really, I feel like I work with some of the smartest people I've ever met. Clever, smart, creative. And I'm thinking, I hope that speaks to maybe who I'm able to attract around me, but I think it's more to do with the fact that we all want to do the right, not just the right thing by clients, but we really want to, we have this approach where we plan with abundance. We never like to scare people. They're going to run out of money. They've got to tighten their budgets. It's not the approach we take. It's more like, maybe you could work a few more years, earn a little bit more. It's not about spending less. And so everyone on the team seems to share that sentiment of abundance. And I think that's part of what's making the possibility of a transition and the eventual buyout a reality, because we're coming from the same place.
Yeah. And it's fun to have, I think it's fun to have kind of a plan A, plan B, because plan B typically is sell to a third party. And that, that's available for people to go out and just put the business on the market. you all can shut it down. And hopefully that's not the plan B, because
Right.
then people lose jobs. And that's one of my big passions is I want communities to go forward well. And it's not just the community inside of the business where, you've got all the jobs and things like that, and the clients and the vendors, everybody who relies on that business for its interaction. But it's also the external, because there's a lot of philanthropy that goes on and a lot of fun things that happen with regard to that. So, so shutting down a business is not my favorite. I think it's kind of a lose-lose everywhere. Internal transaction to partners or people I think that can be a win-win, and everybody can grow and develop and, continue to grow and leave that legacy. And there's also the third party, which can also be a win-win depending on how that gets negotiated and what happens. But you've got that in your path and you're thinking about that. So I think that's great.
I think the idea of the transition to partners feels more like leaving a legacy than a sale to a stranger too. I think it's more aligned with what I'd love to see in the future, and that is that this business that I've worked at for so many years, but this particular firm that is our baby, our collective baby, that this is the legacy for my profession. Yeah,
which is awesome. So curious, as you navigate forward and you think about this transition that you're starting now for 10 years from now, which I think is incredible. What are some of the new skills that you're learning right now to move that forward, right? And to help your partners grow? What are some of the skills that you're learning?
I feel like intentional growth is something I'm learning. Like I said, it's very easy to share with a potential client what we do, how we do it. And yes, we can help you. We can help everyone. It's more to say, it's more challenging, but also frankly, more interesting to me, but more intentional to say, you're not ready for us yet. I think you even taught me that language. You're not ready for us yet. More that we are there for the high stakes decisions, for the things where we could really flex our creativity when it comes to planning and the needs of clients that are going through some of their own transitions. It's far more interesting. I think being able to say no is something I'm learning. I think being intentional about the growth is something I'm learning. Really understanding that interactions between me and the team, me and partners versus me and the advisors, that it's all different, but I'm learning how to treat each relationship within the team differently. What I share with partners or the decision making, it doesn't require consensus as often as it felt like it needed to at the beginning. I'm just much more confident about this person can go make a decision and we don't all have to be a part of that. Or these two people can go off and develop the marketing calendar, et cetera, et cetera. It feels like offloading a lot of the things that you felt you needed to be a part of is also something I'm learning, and it's freeing up time to do the things I really want to do and how I want to spend my time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, a little bit of letting go, right? A little bit of mentoring versus doing.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Moving into more of that mentor role. And I think as entrepreneurs, especially when you're building something and getting it off the ground, you are the doer. You're definitely the doer leader. As you move into more of the growth of the company and also teaching others, and which is a part of the transition, right? Transition in the job, ultimately to get you out of the critical roles. Because if you're in the critical roles and something happens to you, the business doesn't do well. Or you decide to leave abruptly. If you're in a role where you're enjoying, but you're not in those critical roles, somebody else can do those, then it's a lot easier on the firm, and the transition is much, much smoother. It's much more intentional. So yeah, moving from the doer to that mentor teacher sometimes is kind of tough. It's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Or I felt like at times, oh, I'm giving this responsibility to somebody else because I don't want it, but instead they'd just be better at it. But so it feels like, it's not in my nature to not work hard. So it feels like giving something up means I'm working less hard and now they have to work harder because I've passed the ball over to them. That's not necessarily the case. They might do it better or faster, smarter, some kind of way that they have the skill set that's needed for that particular thing. Something else I'm learning. I don't have to do all of that.
Absolutely. And that thinking of kind of, in a way, giving them more and giving them more pressure and more to do, being a partner actually is additional work. There's additional work that has to be done. And one thing that's interesting is if you don't give them the task or the work to do and to learn, even if it is kind of in their wheelhouse, it may not be perfect for them. But if you don't do it, they don't ever learn how to do it. You don't ever provide them the opportunity to be able to grow into it. And you keep yourself, in a way, if you're the one transitioning, you keep yourself stuck because we hold on to the most important things like cash flow. For instance, finance is one of the last things that gets handed off to someone. Especially if you're still in the business, people will hold on to that as leaders. Right. So yeah, the idea of giving them the opportunity. And I was reading the other day a book, and basically we know this, but we all learn through our struggles. We all learn through our struggles. We learn more through our struggles than we do smooth sailing. And you also gain more confidence and you gain more clarity and you just grow as an individual. So I know it's hard to give up things, and sometimes it's really hard to put something on somebody else's plate that's important, knowing that it might not be right in their wheelhouse, but it's really important to the business and somebody's got to do it. That can be tough, but it's the way to provide them opportunity for that growth.
Agree.
Yeah.
Learning that. Yes.
Learning that and being able to do that. I was thinking of new skills. So learning that you don't have to do it yourself, learning that it's okay to put something else on somebody's plate that they will struggle with because they've got a bigger learning curve. And then moving from the doer to the mentor side, where you're there for them, you're right next to them, you're helping them with things as they come across them, you're encouraging them, and you're actually making it easier for them because the transfer of knowledge is there versus them maybe having to do it like you did, learn it on your own.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Or learning by what not to do or how not to handle something instead of, it's interesting. We have a number of strong personalities on the team, which I love. I like that people speak up and share their thoughts and no one hesitates to contribute. But that also as for myself, when you mention mentoring, I sometimes wonder if my mentoring style is intentional enough. So I'm learning that as well, like how to really say, I'm going to take this minute and let's discuss this, or here's how I'd approach it, but I want to know why you want to do it this other way, or what am I missing? Like versus just do this or just give it back to me. I'll do it myself. I'm really learning how to broaden the conversation to one where, again, and I'm learning too. And in fact, there might be very effective ways to do it that I don't know. And so my mentoring, I'm learning that sometimes mentoring doesn't feel, I want to get more, and that's more for me to do in terms of the transition is be really intentional. The bigger we get, my concern is that we're going to lose the vision, or we're going to dilute the brand in some way. The bigger we get, because more strong personalities, more ideas, more distractions. I'd like to really stretch my mentoring muscles to the degree we keep a cohesive brand.
Yeah. I so understand that. And as the more control you have, the more you can keep that on track. The more you let go, the more it becomes their next vision. And that can be a little frightening because it becomes your legacy that then your vision, and you collectively bring other people in to do that, but you're kind of you're that visionary driver. And then as you let go, it's interesting because you don't control what they do and you want that to thrive forward, and the business has to morph to meet all of the outside needs of what's going on in the world, right? So letting go, also lack of control, and will they take it forward and continue to have that brand? And you can do that through teaching and alignment and communication and all of the things that mentoring and leadership does. So I see that those skills, those are things you're doing. And I also love the concept of you learning too.
That's right.
It's so much fun to continue to expand and grow. And I just so enjoy seeing and watching leaders help others to come in and again understand what it takes to run a business, what it takes to hold a brand in place, what it takes to make sure that the business is healthy and well, and even what it takes to keep your people and all of the different things. Those are all kind of some soft skills that get transitioned in a long transition. So yeah, just what it means to be able to do that. And you are so talented, Diane. I've just really enjoyed everything that you've done for this firm in building it. And your creativity.
Well, as you know, I've had a lot of help and a lot of great coaching. So thank you.
Thank you. So I appreciate that. And anyway, I think we're at our time. And so I'd like to ask you one last question. If you were going to leave one thing with our listeners as to what to keep in mind when they are thinking about a transition, whether they're in the midst of it or just kind of pondering it, what would be the one thing that you'd want them to remember?
Oh, wow. That's a great one. I would say be open to coaching, believe that you're capable, that risks do pay off, understand your value, and, begin with the end in mind.
That's fabulous. Diane, thank you so much for joining us and
Thanks,
me
Elizabeth.
today.
Thanks
it's
for all
such a
you
pleasure.